Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Superfed Presents Rebel Action. I'm your host, Superfed TV. This is not a recap episode. This is going to be the match that I was hoping for, and actually I did cover it in the last recap, but you probably already forgot about that. This is what I would consider the match of Division 3 for the first 7 weeks. So it is going to be between Tribu Urbana, coached by Hipzter, who received a lot of league-wide praise, and Murderers Row, coached by Doc M, who is also a well-respected coach throughout the league and also had a great playoff run. So the Doc M with his Necromantic team, and Hipzter with Tribu Urbana, the Pro Elves. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right on into the disclaimer. Warning, what you are about to hear is in fact opinion. It is not necessarily a representation of the league, coaches, or channel. You will hear things that may not make you feel good. This is called criticism. Sometimes criticism can even be subjective. Blood Bowl is a game of dice and strategy, and there will be comments on both dice and strategy. It does not necessarily mean that the subjects are good or bad people, but they probably are bad coaches. This is sarcasm. Either way, if you think it is offensive to be told you are wrong, tell someone else who cares. Enjoy. Alright, and as this loads up, I will tell you that both these teams are off to a really good start. Hipzter and Doc M are respectively both the top Elf and top Necro team in this division. Up at the top, they're also joined by Drunkernaut, who's had a good start on his Chaos. Sukari, who is doing pretty good on the Lizards. And there are a couple other Elves that are up there as well. I'll take a look at the leaderboard maybe after this match. So, we are in the game. Let me actually go ahead and turn on the cutscenes, because at least on armor breaks, we know everyone likes to watch with those, as well as the skills. I prefer having all the skills on. Doesn't matter how long you play Blood Bowl, in my opinion. It still helps to know the base skills and be able to see them visually, especially when you've got base skills like Diving Tackle on the Blitzers for Kislev. Things like that. Stand Firm on Golems, of course. You know, I've played enough to know that, but I still like seeing it. Hipzter setting up in a wide slant, actually, and a little bit further off the line than usual. You can see he's actually manually moving all of his players back one extra square. And the reason for this is he wants to basically not get too pressured by these golems and zombies. He wants them to really stretch their movement if they're going to move up. It also is going to protect these back row wings the way that he's slanted over on the side here. There's no way that this sidestep catcher is going to get blitzed. And this lineman over here, which is a little odd actually now that I see that. Like, I'm not sure why these two pieces are in some of the safer spots. It makes sense to me why Cadaver's in a very safe spot, but not so much on the sidestep one, or this just generic dodge lineman. He also opts to have one of the dodge linemen on the line when he has a unskilled rookie. For me, it's either put all your weakest, cheapest players on the line, or try and load the line with as much dodge as possible to force the tackle players onto the line of scrimmage. We see if this player did have dodge, he would have survived this hit, but let's see what happens here. No armor break. Not a big deal. Lineman doing his job. Get a zombie block with no block. And no damage. And a 2-die block onto the dodge piece, who also goes down and is stunned for his trouble. Doc M respecting the threat of a failed pickup here. And opting to go with the blitz after making sure that the screen's intact. Blitz no good on the guard dodge lineman. And now we see the pickup after all the blocks have been made. Necro team is a team that's a hybrid team, but it's also a team that has very mixed movement speeds. And that's one of the more difficult things to get adjusted to. Interestingly enough, if this screen hadn't been set up this way, he probably would have blitzed with the werewolf and ended up frenzy trapping himself. So that worked out quite well. And we see a very early foul. Considering there was no damage there, the send-off is going to affect... I mean, there is a 2-deep bench, so I guess that's not the end of the world there with that foul. I like to make sure there's at least one player sent off from my enemy team, or one player removed from my enemy team before I commit to a foul, because really now the Necro has put himself down in numbers. Here comes a Mighty Blow blitz onto a guard zombie, and there's a removal. Now the Necro is down 2 players, and this is exactly why I don't like to blitz first turn unless I got a removal first turn. Hipzter does elect to leave this elf here, so I would assume that somebody's going to come here to protect him. Easily the most valuable piece on Hipzter's team, Cadaver, the catcher. Mighty Blow, movement up, block, tackle, dodge. On his way to legend. This is the 2-season-old piece with 110 SPP. Undoubtedly a crutch of the team. He does get that protection from the side step. Blitzer attempts the dodge to get away from the white and manages to stun himself, doing as much damage as the Necro bow. But I like this position. This is a nice spread apart screen. Looking for that werewolf blitz that is not coming this turn, but we do find ourselves getting a POW with Mighty Blow and a removal. Start bringing the numbers back into the Necro's way. Hipzter takes note and actually has 2 bench himself, which is very good for pro elves. Any elf team would love a bench. They're quite expensive, but worth it. Now we see the Doc M taking a risk. He's going to be able to back this up with plenty of guard, but generally you do not want a corner of your cage based, even if it is stand firm like this, because it's easy enough for them to get a block here to knock this guy down and then come in from right here. Because of this extra guard, though, that does mean that the dice on the ball is not going to be ideal. Let's check if Hipzter has a wizard. He does not have a wizard. He does have 4 rerolls, though. He might have got a kickoff event that I missed. And now we see Hipzter coming in to base a little bit, basing this white on this side with the sidestep. I actually kind of like that because it doesn't allow him to get any forward progress on this side of the pitch. And then he's going to set up the screen over here, which is also strong. Oh, no, that base was an assist for this blitz. Okay. He re-rolls it since he has the extra one. Pushes into pushes. Where does the catcher go from here? Well, with that wonderful 9 movement, he's able to get back behind the screen. And now this area is just kind of wide open and juicy. I would like to see him do something about it. He does attempt to do it with a 3+2+ dodge. Unfortunately, 3+2+ too much. And now he knocks himself out. So the numbers are, again, even on the pitch. A little too bad Hipzter had that slight edge for 2 turns. But having that immediate send-off also has really slowed down, because that was the dirty player on the pitch. So we're going to see the attrition slow down against these elves. No has to make Doc M a little frustrated. Interesting cage formation again. Not going to have guard on both opposite corners. That's really what you want. You want 1 dodge on each side, so if they do, cage dive or leap in there, that they're going to be marked by at least 1 guard. But we've got all 3 guard on one side of the pitch here. We are finally seeing a Mighty Blow tackle blitz, and it's on to the blitzer. But no love from the dice, and no knockdown. And that's going to end the turn. So they did just move right up to that side that was open. which is how you play against an elf screen. They can't cover the whole pitch more often than not. And curious where this blitz is going to go, but Hipzter's very seasoned, knows to make the movements before the dice rolls. And you can see before a single dice is thrown, the screen is set up and intact. It's not impenetrable by any means, but if you're going to have one person by themselves, Blodge Step is the one to do it. And now it's reinforced with the first dice roll that he makes. He would have re-rolled that, obviously. So anything but a 1 in 36 reinforces this side. Very strong. Gets the assist in position. And another push. Pillow hands in effect. These first 3 turns. And it can get very frustrating if you're a coach that's relying upon removal. Tackle on that blitzer. All it does is put him on the ground. I actually like that attempt to dodge out. Even though it wasn't the greatest odds, and as you saw, it didn't succeed. The floor does not hit as hard as the Mighty Blow Claw Werewolf when you are an AV8 blitzer, so... And you're just as much of a threat back there on that side of the pitch as you would have been if you had dodged out and stood right there. Now the Necro is kind of trapped in this corner because of the way that the screen is formed so perfectly that they force themselves to base in here, and we have a part of the cage that is marked. Now it's marked by multiple guard pieces and 2 golems that are stand firm, so it's not going to do anything, but it is forcing a risk upon your opponents, and I like that a lot. Again, first action, resetting his screen, makes the dodge. And now this is looking pretty strong, but he's going to continue to make some more dodges before he attempts a blitz anywhere. He didn't need to capitalize on that cage corner being marked. And instead, he's going to blitz this back cage corner. Finally finds a POW onto the blotch guard white. Knockdown, no stun. Reinforcing that screen. Let's see if he marks the ball. I don't think he will, but oh, he does with tackle, and that's good. And so sidestep, so that's going to force a blitz from this werewolf, more likely than not. And he stands this one up, so now the werewolf has to choose if he's going to make this hit here or if he's going to try and do something. He might go for a 3-die block. He is doing the right thing against sidestep and filling the gap, so he knows where the sidestep's going to be before he makes the blitz. It's a dub skull. He finds the POW, though. That's what he needed. No armor break there. So often when you mark ball carriers, it just coincidentally it results in a removal. And now this screen is barely moving up. Technically he could, find a way through and score, but only 1 square a turn for the last 2 turns. Mighty Blow Claw finds a POW into a stun, and Latore is down. But Latore is, taking all of this werewolf's time. I have no idea what that werewolf's name is. Urzezabet? I don't know. Not even gonna try. We're gonna call him Urzi. Urzi the werewolf. Great werewolf. The blitz was not taken with Mighty Blow this turn. Wouldn't have made a difference, but seeing the screen again reinforced. But now the screen itself is based up against this cage, and they went pretty heavy on the manning up here. Seeing that Murder's Row is down to 2 rerolls, they're going to have to throw some dice this turn. Guard does come into position here, so the Golem is free to make a block where he chooses, finds the knockdown with Mighty Blow, but this is actually still pretty hunkered up. They're not going to be able to advance. He could try and go for a sword, but this backline screen, even though these guys are down, he's going to have to make some dodges, and he's not going to go for it. It's early in the drive. But really, as long as these elves stay on the pitch, the fact that they're getting knocked over here doesn't matter. Frenzy, push, 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 and no luck for Urzi, the werewolf. Now that guard is actually going to do some interesting things here too. He could actually set up for a nice tackle block onto Urzi. Reroll is used to reinforce the screen. Here comes the Mighty Blow Blitz. It's going to be on Urzi. Finds the POW. Sidesteps up and out of the guard. No stun. Brings that back, and I assume this Agi 6 guy is going to go back to somewhere over here. Yep, there it is. And we have the perfect textbook elf screen right back again. Cost him a reroll, but he's got the numbers on the pitch to keep this defense strong. Two-die block with tackle, no good onto the rookie white. And as you expect, as soon as you make your first block without block, you get the 1 and 9. So that is going to open up a little bit of route if they can knock over this one, if they wanted to go to this side of the pitch. Also, alternatively, ooh, he's going for this one. It costs him his reroll. He's now out of rerolls, but he can secure an area of the pitch that's a little bit closer to the end zone, and going to be harder for the elves to screen everything off if he wants to move this way. Moves that golem up, and I suspect that telegraphs where this is going to go. This guard zombie comes up, reinforced since this is marked. And again, that's 3 guard side by side by side. Not worried about the cage dive. And to be fair, Hipzter hasn't even really needed a cage dive or attempted one. Personally, I like the Agi 4, man. I want to do Agi 4 things if I'm playing an Agi 4 team. And that would include a cage dive. This deters the cage dive from these 2 squares, but this square is ripe for a cage dive. Tackle brings down Urzi. And Urzi is stunned. Urzbet. That's how it is. Okay. A little easier to read when it's in large letters on your screen. But let us see how this screen shapes up as Hipzter swings around to the opposite side of the pitch. Opened his mighty blow up to a block. Oh, I'm gonna like this choice. Yeah, I like this a lot. Unfortunately, doesn't find the knockdown. But this does shut down this side quite a bit. Especially with this second one coming through. I mean, the hole is just right there. So the blitz has to be onto this guy, and that will open up a hole for a score on turn 8. So really, this guy needed to be 1 square down. It would have been worth the GFI. You had the reroll. If you brought him down just 1 more square, or even 2 more squares, 1 or 2 more squares, would have plugged this up. They decided to go the other way with it, and I missed that. And that's fine. Here's the score on turn 8. He would have been able to score without any dice had he blitzed the catcher as well, and I think I would have preferred that on the off chance that you get the POW and the removal. That would be way more significant to not have a Mighty Blow Elf to worry about. But regardless, it was a good drive, good defense by Hipzter. More importantly, a good score by the Doc M. He did all the right moves there to keep the ball safe. Anytime the ball was marked, he was able to respond appropriately to get out of the situation. Kept, the elves moving back and forth as he slowly drives up the pitch. And if you're somebody that struggles against that elf screen, Doc M just gave you a textbook example of how to go against that. Now we're going to see the 1-turn defense, and I am not seeing textbook defense of that. If this is a playoff game, this would be unacceptable. Regular season, I get not wanting to expose yourself to a Mighty Blow tackle shot and possibly a foul on one of your more valuable players. But, okay, good. He's getting it a little bit better at least. As long as you have a full 11-man players, your end zone screen should start on the sidelines. That's going to force 2 tackle zones on each. You only have 1 tackle piece, though. And that's where this screen is just not the most effective against elves. We'll see if Hipzter does set up for the 1-turn. I hope he does. It'll be a real treat if we get to see that. Looks like so far we are setting up for that. But remember, boys and girls, we have Agi 6 on the pitch. Agi 6 through these 2 tackle zones right here with no tackle. That is not very hard. He's got an automatic reroll, too. All he has to do is find... What is that going to be? 4 pushes up is going to be quite a bit, but it is possible. He's got a full team of elves, and he's a capable coach of coming up with this. No tackle. No sidestep on the piece that you want to do this play with. But he's got 8 movement. High kick does help with the 1-turn attempt, although he's got a movement up thrower here, so it's not going to make too big of a difference. Makes the catch anyway, so it's a simple handoff, really. Here is the first action. There's the push, so we're going for this 1-turn. The 1-turn is on. Sidestep. Gets him into the right position there. I like this. I like this a lot. Moves him around. So we're taking advantage of 2 zombies here. Ooh, yeah, reroll that. I'm glad he saved that reroll for the one-turn attempt here. Pushing the zombie out. Moves him up. We see the momentum. He's got the first one here. And he hands off because it is Agi 6. I mean, why not? He's got catch, the 2+. Go ahead and take that out of the way so you don't have to worry about the pass dice. Finding a push now on the 3-die. Push number 2 complete, ball in hand. Push number 3. We've got free elves. We might have to do a little bit of dodging depending on how we do this. This one here, he should have enough movement. He does. He didn't actually need to do that one because he's pushing from this angle, so we already had this secured. This one could have been the knockdown, but we got it, boys and girls. We have the pushes. That is how you get 4 pushes. Agi 6. Ooh, 1 on the bat, but it doesn't matter. He gets through, and that was a beautiful one-turn touchdown from the Pro Elves. Beautiful. Sidestep helped with that, absolutely. Agi 6 definitely did a thing. Can't do it with out of the box. Well, actually, you probably could do that same thing with out-of-the-box Pro Elves. You just need a little bit better dice on the dodge at the very end there. But well played, Hipzter. Taking advantage of that last reroll. It was a thing of beauty. KO comes back, so we've got all the Elves in play. No injuries, and that is bad news for Necro Coach fans around the world. And the knockout stays. So really, we're going to have no bench going into the second half for the Necro team, and a bench for the Pro Elves. Things that you did not expect to hear. Necro is setting up wide, and this is I like against Pro Elves. The reason why I like the wide setup against the Pro Elves is, generally speaking, the Pro Elves want to take a sideline, get as far up as they can, and do a quick 2-turn touchdown. If you're playing for the tie, though, you know, that's okay. If you're playing for the win, you're going to need to stop that score. And so this is what we see from the Doc M. He is playing to stop that score, or some kind of action up the middle here, which, generally speaking, does not work out because you end up basing one of these players here. And sure, you can blitz one, but the other one will end up being based. Or you're just kind of in a position where they can collapse from all sides. So this is how you force your opponents, though, to play honest and not score quickly. Quick snap, that's going to definitely favor the Elves, helping them out, getting right under the ball. Do not move up these ones on the side. I usually like to see that, especially if you're going to try and go deep early. He may not be going for the fast score himself. Just a push on the zombie. The dauntless block zombie. We talked in one of the previous recaps, I think 2 weeks ago, about the bloatiness of the Doc M zombies. The block dauntless being one of them. I assume he was playing Sukari the week, you know, or planning on playing Sukari, and that's what that was for. Also helpful against Renjin's Black Orcs. We see the assist or mark going right up onto Erzbet. I expect the blitz to go on Erzbet as well. Yes, that's what we see. Unfortunately, doesn't get it, but he does invest in the greed reroll for the knockdown. Will we see the removal? No. Greed reroll not rewarded. And he's exposed. He is in a precarious position. So the Elves are threatening the early score with the way that they have moved themselves so far, but only one scoring threat. I don't know how serious that threat really is. I just don't like dangling out your star player there, but we'll see if Erzbet replies. More likely they're going to pressure the ball based on this positioning. Certainly basing up quite heavily here. Blitz mark means absolutely nothing unless you blitz it, and that's where the blitz goes. Urzbet replies onto Cadaver, finds the armor break, but only a stun. And you know the Doc would love to foul that, but he doesn't have the opportunity. And Dauntless Block Zombie finds a POW himself. Handsome Tim. Handsome Tim, I like the name. I wonder which team he stole that one from. I'm guessing that's a Pokemon. Blitz onto a Dirty Player Zombie, though, is only a push. And slight movement up here to, I assume, get some blocks going. Okay, canceling out the assist onto this white, so he can get a block onto Blodge White. Finds a POW on the Blodger. And we're slowly moving up the pitch, so, well, actually, no, I take that back. That was pretty quick. Okay, I see where he's going here. So he actually just took a huge chunk out of control away from the Necro team. And now all these guys are going to be able to do next turn is base up, get a block onto this guy, and a blitz, and that's it. I would say that this is aggressive play out of Hipzter. I mean, he's certainly throwing dice, dodges, and go-for-its to get through there. You know, had that 1 in 36 on him, that would have been pretty brutal, but when he moved the ball through there. The Doc M at this point, I think, can't stop this touchdown if Hipzter wants to do it early. Playing for the tie, he's probably fine with it, but we just already know by the way that Doc has played so far, he is not interested in playing for a tie. So we might see some risky play here to try and even this out. Instead, going for the Blodge Blitzer with sidestep. He wanted to get the POW on the 2 dice because he knew he was going into a 1 dice with sidestep. But he doesn't. It doesn't matter. He is not punished for the 1 die frenzy trap. Finds his way onto the ball, marking the ball with Urzbet, Star Werewolf, and the other werewolf, Albert. Urzbet has me all tongue-tied. Albert Squish coming through to support partner in crime. Powing again. This Blodge White, Son of Slam, is pretty much useless here. Constantly getting knocked over. The Cadaver finds his way to safety. Just a simple 2+ dodge out from the ball carrier. Doesn't even bother blocking with Urzbet. Passes it. Gingerly. 2+ pass, 2+ catch. Screening up on Handsome Tim. Now really, if Handsome Tim wants to throw this 1 die here, he could open a way up for the Ghoul to find his way into Cadaver. And the zombie is KO'd. Guard one. The elves just are not dying themselves, bringing a ton of pressure. Look at all the dodge dice. Agi 6, that's exactly the kind of play that we expect. This is screening off this Ghoul, so the only way really through is here. And because of the blitz, he was able to reinforce and help out Handsome Tim. Look at the guard over there, though, to get... No, actually, I don't know that does not open a hole. So instead we blitz the passer, or the thrower. Mighty blow. And there's an injury. Squishy, squishy thrower. M&G. Gonna sting a little bit for Hipzter. You want to develop those throwers when you play elves. I don't like this base at all. Unless, no, I just don't like this base. These nerds are stealing Agi 6. This does absolutely nothing. I really would have preferred the Ghoul come over here somehow and do something to reinforce Urzbet. Maybe a screen up right here even would be more helpful than being on the Agi 6 guy with Wrestle. So because of all this basing, Hipzter's elves are going to get a bunch of blocks back. Cadaver's probably setting up to blitz himself free. That's exactly what he does. Finds the knockdown on Erzbet, uses his tackle, pushes them into the sideline. No armor break. Erzbet is living life strong. And we see, I wouldn't call it an early score, but I would say that chewed up some of the clock. And I would say that it was a relatively easy score for Hipzter and his pro elves, as is often the case. Dockham has to be a little frustrated. He tried everything he could, risked everything he could, short of diving a cage in order to get at this ball and stop the score, but pesky elves and 2 knockouts staying out means that we're going to be down a player for the Necro going into this drive. They also have a limited clock. We did chew up 3 turns, so we've got 5 turns to see the return score for the tie from the Dockham. And I'm guessing that we're going to see a little bit more of a pressure style defense out of Hipzter in order to keep the Necro pinned back and not able to get up the field as quickly as they did the last time. Could be wrong. And even as quickly as they got up the field, they still had some close encounters. Perfect defense. Just what Hipzter needed at this moment. You could see the werewolves were stacked up on one side. They were going to play to this gap that Hipzter left, try and get up the pitch early. But now able to shuffle these over, get in front of these golems, screening on this side as well, leaving the wide side open over here. The exact opposite of what the Doc was counting on. Frustration from Snarls Manson. Knocks over this pro elf. Just a stun though. Handsome Tim also just pushing, following it up. We can see it looks like where the cage is going to be set up here. Gaining at least 1 square into the elf side of the pitch. Getting all this movement done before the pickup. Mighty Blow blitz onto the lineman. Down he goes. Your hands does a thing. Covers that pickup from that failed attempt. This is a loose cage with no guard. If ever there was an invitation to cage dive, that would be it for me. And we do see the dirty player foul onto the line elf. Now this is the player I would have done this cage dive with. So we're not going to see the cage dive, but we are going to see the blitz onto the white. And this does push him back, and actually the ghoul never really made it into the elf side of the pitch, so this is an awkward position to defend as the elves. If you overcommit too much to this right side of the pitch, a lot of players over here. These are the slower players. These are the ones that you want to watch for when you're setting up your defense, because this golem in particular is the cornerstone upon which that the Necro will move. And so if you can keep him contained no further than here, that's going to really limit where the Necro can go. And that's exactly what we're seeing now from Hipzter. So he recognizes that. You can see this kind of loose, long, sliding cage, where now the Necro are going to kind of wall up against this, but going to leave them exposed. And they're really not going to be gaining much ground here. We're seeing more desperation play out of the Doc M. And that's entirely because of the fact that he's outnumbered by elves. They're able to do this. Typically it goes the other way, where the elves just get low on numbers. And then, you know, they're not able to screen this effectively, but full team, they're doing their job. A risky block from the werewolf. But he would have pushed him there for the 2 dice still. But because he gets the knockdown with the block this way, he doesn't have to follow it up, so he's exposed. And a blitz does get an injury, but also a send-off. That is kind of a net wash there. We're still down a player for the Necro team, but there's at least 1 less line elf get in the way of this. Moving and setting his screen up. He brought this one over to account for the fact that he's going to be able to stand this one up and dodge him out to the side. Blitzing again. This Blodge guard white. Son of Slam is just getting focused like crazy this game. Thankfully, he brought his grade A armor and has not been removed from the pitch, but just target number 1 of these elves. The dodge reroll gets this blitzer out, and as we expected, the line elf does come up front. So if you notice, actually, the line elves are still the front side of this cage, keeping his catchers back and safe. Just beautiful defense. There's a little bit of a gap here, and that's exactly where the Doc M focuses. Again, gets the knockdown. Dodge does save his bacon on the 3+. Risky play there, but that's the kind of risk that he needs to take in order to set up this kind of cage here and to get forward progress down the pitch. I would have liked this one being back here again. I think he could have set up his screen just a little bit better had he had this sidestep Blodge one back one more piece since he had this elf out. He wasn't sure if he was going to do it, but I would have seeded the ground this way instead of seeding the ground this way had he been this square instead of this square. If your opponent's moving laterally, that's a win. If it's diagonally, like we just got here, that is a huge loss when you're playing the elf screen defense. This is not over. Technically, yes, he is in range. This is certainly not over, as the Necro have 2 turns left to get it into the end zone. And they may try and score next turn, but we see now that the ball is marked with tackle. And we've got sidestep in the way here, so because he committed so hard to this side when he made that diagonal progress, this is still a defendable position. And I would say that it's going to be more likely than not that Hipzter still shuts this down. Now, because we've collapsed in on this part, this side is pretty exposed, but we do get the Blodge step into position here. And I like this. Forcing the blitz, or forcing the block, or dodge, instead of the blitz onto the ball carrier threat with this tackle piece. Dodge keeps the guard piece up, and that's actually a big deal, because now there's guard reinforcing the tackle threat on the ball as well. The zombie makes his own forward progress up the side of the pitch, and we can see now that the plan is going to be to dodge out, so basically a 1-9 right now wins the game for Hipzter. Okay, so he makes the blitz before he does the dodge. Wisely so. I would not want to risk my game on a 1-9 because every time I do, I lose. It's already happened to me this season. This does give him 1 square of progress again. And another 3+ dodge. And a nice stun. But if Hipzter brings this back around again, he's not going to be able to get. He's gonna have to risk something next turn in order to get the score. Almost the exact same play out of Hipzter. Before he sets the screen up, he does get the injury, but that does open up a hole as well. I think he would have been happier with the stun in that case, even though injuries are always great and the removal's great. I think he would have actually liked the stun because it would have blocked this gap. Now he sends in a second mark on the ball with sidestep and tackle, so no easy push off this time. I just want to see something over here. Something to shut down this dodge into a touchdown. Where is it going to come from? This move right here is actually splitting off half of the team. All right, there's one, but we need something here still. Need this guard dodge. There it is. Perfect with the GFI. One more GFI. That is the spot. Now just reinforce that somehow. I don't know if he can. Yeah, he really can't, but all this is marked up, so it's not necessarily, it's going to be a dodge out and then another dodge. So 2 3+ dodges, either of which could 1-9. Both of them marked by tackle. Ooh. There goes your GFI for the Doc M. No! The 1-36 ends the game. We never got to see the attempt of the score and how he was going to play it out. What that tells me at the very end there was the Golem was going to mark up the sidestep tackler so that the block from Frenzy could come in onto him to at least get one of the tackles off. And maybe he was going to try and plug all the gaps too so that he could chain push the other one off. That would have been very risky. That would have required a lot of dice and luck. I don't know. I just wouldn't have done that play. I don't know. Unfortunately, it ended before I had a chance to look at what the other options were. And I don't know about that one. I think in that case, I risk the 1 and 9s. I go for, or it wouldn't even be 1 and 9s because of tackle. Well, I guess you had one reroll, but one of them could have been a 1 and 9. So I think I would have marked the guard lineman like he did with the zombie, dodged and blitzed with the werewolf. And if that failed, the first one you had to use your team reroll for it, and then use the ghoul to score. I think that would have been the only actions I took that turn. But man, that was a tough one. And just an excellent defense by Hipzter. Only a couple positioning little things that I would have done differently with the Blodge Step. I personally like using the Blodge Step to shut down the drive. Hipzter used his Blodge Step a little bit more selectively and on the wings. And he soaked up most of the hits with the line elves. And that's why he has a bench. That's smart to use your cheaper line elves in order to shut those things down rather than your skilled up blitzers. But just a style preference. Yeah, 14 armor breaks, and the lack of removals, though, is a huge factor. 3 KOs, they came back. 4 removals total with the 1 injury. And then there was also the foul injury, but that happened so late that it was just irrelevant at that point in time. Yeah, if this... And we saw why the blocks were so skewed. We talked about that in the recap of Hipzter getting more blocks. Well, it was because Murder's Row was playing to shut down after that 1-turn touchdown. They did not want to give Hipzter the early score. Had the 1-turn touchdown failed, Murder's Row would have played that totally different. They would not have been basing. They would have been welcoming the early score in order to give themselves a chance at scoring the winning touchdown themselves. So, all in all, some great coaching, great strategy. Rough ending for the Doc M. Rough Kaz dice, but really, that's Blood Bowl, baby. That's going to happen. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two or took something away from it. But as always, thank you so much for watching. You guys have a good evening.